So let's make an interesting comparison between the iPhone SE 2025 edition, the fourth edition, versus the new Moto G 2025 edition. We got two budget devices, one from Apple, one from Motorola in 2025. Well, how do these phones differ? How are they similar? Which one is the better overall deal? Let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to start off this comparison by starting off with the price. And the iPhone SE 2025, the fourth edition, is the budget device from Apple. It's not cheap if you get it unlocked. It's still going to be $500, but it's still pretty much not the $800 or $1,000 from the Pro and the flagship models. But I think this is interesting more at a prepaid price because the iPhone SE is a perfect Apple iPhone that gets discounted heavily on prepaid from Metro, from Cricket, from Boost, for example. Those devices, the iPhone SE, those devices get sold at a heavy discount, and I suspect this one's going to be for less than $100 at those prepaid networks. And also, you can get it for free, completely free, if you get it from the carriers, from Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. They'll give them for free. You don't even have to trade in your phone. They just give you a line or give you a phone for free, an iPhone SE, when you just add a line. And we're comparing it with the free Moto G 2025. Now, Motorola, this is the lowest tier phone apart from the Moto G Play, but I think that the Moto G is probably the better base model for Motorola. I think they already erase the Moto G Play from existence now, and I think that the Moto G is the base starting Motorola phone. That one is always, you could always count on Motorola to give you a free phone on prepaid. So you got pretty much two heavily discounted devices, and let's compare them. So start off with the build quality. Obviously, the iPhone SE, Apple always has great build quality, even if it's cheaper devices. And this one has glass front, glass back, aluminum frame, versus the plastic fake leather on the back, which actually feels pretty good on the Motorola. This doesn't really matter if you rock a case, but the build quality, you'll feel it in the iPhone for sure. And interestingly enough, the Motorola actually feels really good in the hand too, with that eco leather back. It feels very grippy. It feels very different than just a slick plastic. So actually, I consider it a tie if you were to rock these phones without a case. Both of these phones are going to rock that eSIM technology built in, and that's pretty nice. But the Motorola has that physical nano SIM card slot, so flexibility is added to the Moto G, and that beats out the iPhone, which is eSIM only. Now, unless Apple releases the iPhone SE4 with the flexibility of having the physical and the eSIM technology, that'll be a big win for the iPhone. As for the display, very interesting here. The iPhone SE has a 6.1 inch display. It's smaller than the 6.7 inches on the Motorola. That could be good and bad because some people like smaller phones, some people prefer big phones. But in any case, the iPhone here loses because it's going to be rocking a 60 hertz refresh rate screen versus 120 hertz on the Moto G. So that's a big win for the cheap, free Motorola. Next, the resolution. The iPhone is going to have a higher resolution. It's just going to look a little bit crispier than the 720p display on the Motorola. As for software, the iPhone wins out here because it's going to get several years of updates. It's on iOS 18 at the release, and it's going to get at least easily 6 or 7 years of updates. Now the Motorola has a big L right there because you're going to get Android 15, and that's it. I don't think they're going to update at all. Next is the chipset. Apple has the iPhone SE rocking the A18, the same chip that's found on the iPhone 16 Pro. Very, very nice. This is going to make this phone future-proof. It's going to get many, many updates. Now, on the other hand, the Motorola has a very low bar for its processors and its cheap phones. You got a MediaTek Dimensity 6300, which is low end, but you're not going to run any high-end apps at all on this. No video editing, no photo editing, anything crazy. So the iPhone has that really nice, very fast processor. Next, we have the internal storage, and both of these start off at 128 gigs. It really depends on where you get the device for the Moto G, but 64, you're either going to get 64 gigs or 128 gigs of storage, but it won't really matter because the Motorola has that micro SD card slot, which will beat out the 128 gigs and no expandable storage on the iPhone SE. But 128 gigs is a lot of storage, I think, for anybody for the most part. So I kind of consider it a tie right here. Now for the camera setup, you got an overall better camera in general from the iPhone SE, 48 megapixel shooter, but it's just one camera. On the other hand, the Moto G has a 50 megapixel main shooter, 2 megapixel macro, but you only shoot in 1080p versus the 4K in the iPhone. So in the camera department, the iPhone's going to win, even though it only has one camera, because the camera quality on the Motorola the Moto G, it's not really good. You're going to have a lot of light, and the pictures will be mediocre at best. No headphone jack in the iPhone, but you do get it on the Moto G 2025. So that's a big win for the Motorola. Very flexible right there. Both of these are rocking USB Type-C. That's one of the big changes on the iPhone SE. It now is rocking USB Type-C. So that's the universal charger. iPhone, all iPhones are pretty much that are sold now are going to have a USB Type-C. So they are taking a page out of the Android playbook. Now to unlock your device, you have Face ID on the iPhone SE4 with that notch on top. Not Dynamic Island, it has the notch. Very fast, cool way to open up your device versus the Moto G having fingerprint, side-mounted fingerprint unlock. It's kind of a practical way to unlock your phone. Very fluid, very fast. It's just not as cool and futuristic as Face ID. Now, as for battery life, both of these have really good battery life, but I'm going to have to give it to the Motorola on this one with that 5,000 milliamp battery. It just punches the iPhone's battery life. Even though it charges 50% in 30 minutes, you're going to get almost all day battery life, but I suspect that the Motorola will beat it out for sure. So the better overall device is going to be on pure specs, with the nice camera, with the updates, with the processor. It's going to be the iPhone SE. If you could get it at that sub $100 price point. At $500, the easily the best phone in this comparison is going to be the Moto G 2025, because you're gonna get that phone for free. I wouldn't pay anything for the Moto G 2025 because it's free everywhere on prepaid, and you don't even have to trade anything in. And it does have some solid points. It has a great battery life. It has a stock version of Android. It has that bigger overall screen if that's what you're into. But it does have some negatives. I forgot to mention the amount of RAM on the iPhone SE. That one's 8 gigs, the same as the iPhone 16 Pro. So you're getting a pro amount of RAM. The Moto G is the lower end Motorola phone, and it's going to have 4 gigs of RAM. And I think that's where it hurts it a lot too. Along with that chipset, you're going to get some lag. You're going to get some freezes. That is not good if you're doing any type of mid-level, everyday, phone task. And yeah, you're going to get stuck a couple of times. But, it's a small price to pay when you consider that this device is free. So, long term, the iPhone SE will be a better device overall than the Moto G 2025. But I thought it'd be an interesting update to compare these. And micro SD card slot and the headphone jack. That's a big plus on the Moto G. But you have the good camera, all the updates, and the Apple ecosystem on the iPhone SE. So that's been my comparison of the budget iPhone SE and the budget Moto G 2025.